death and destruction on both sides of the Gaza border. Thousands of people killed, civilians tortured, neighborhoods decimated. We spoke with two people touched by this Israel-Hamas war, a reservist in the Israel Defense Forces and a Palestinian American with family in Gaza. We start with Ben. Originally from LA, he moved to Israel and joined the IDF. After spending 2 years on active duty, Ben is now back on the front lines.
On Saturday, October 7th, I opened my phone, saw the news that rockets were flying in, that the pickup trucks of Hamas were driving through our streets, and I immediately packed my bag and drove to base.
Could you describe some of the scenes you've already seen?
I was sent down to Kfar Aza, one of the communities that was hardest hit. And by the time I got there, all of the Israeli civilians were already put into body bags. The first thing that catches your attention before you can even see anything is the smell. The smells of blood and dead bodies and just death. And then you start to walk around the kibbutz and you see puddles of blood in baby and infants' beds. You see teddy bears covered in blood. Acts of that savagery and barbarism are taken out. It's true hatred of life. We're fighting against Hamas. We're fighting against terror. If this isn't wiped out now, then it will reach America's borders sooner than later.
Now, we've heard testimony from some Palestinians in Gaza who are fearful to flee or evacuate because they could be killed by airstrikes. Why should they feel safe to obey these evacuation orders?
Our fight is against Hamas and Hamas only. We do more than any other country in the world to minimize civilian casualties. If other Arab nations came together and were able to support these refugees and Palestinians as well, we would see the number be minimized even more.
Are you afraid to die in this war?
I want to go home to my girlfriend and see my dog, give my mom a hug. This is the reason I'm here, is to make sure that my kids and my grandkids don't have to fight Hamas, don't have to fight terror. And if that means that I do lose my life in this fight, then it will be worth it.
Nihad Awad is the National Executive Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations. Awad was born in a Palestinian refugee camp, and he still has family in Gaza. He says he's receiving death threats for speaking up for the Palestinians who are dying in this war. When the news of the October 7th attacks started to come in, what was initially going through your mind?
We condemn any attack on civilian population because of our faith, because of our values, and because we have been at the receiving end and we know what it means to be at the receiving end. October 7th is not the beginning of the history. Gaza has been under siege for 16 years. People cannot travel. They're just living in a prison.
What do you make of Hamas as an organization?
Hamas is a reaction to the Israeli occupation. They have been dehumanizing the Palestinians, ethnic cleansing the Palestinians, seizing their properties, deporting them, putting them in jail. Militant groups usually become a phenomenon to defend people's rights.
We have since seen how Israel has responded to these attacks, especially in Gaza. Can you tell us about your connections there personally and what you are hearing from people on the ground there?
Carpet bombing of civilian population, cutting off water, electricity, food, and fuel from 2.3 million people, ethnically cleansing them to depopulate the area. These are war crimes. I'm also here suffering because I do not know my family and relatives are doing. I don't know if they're alive or dead in Gaza, in other cities. We have lost communication with our people.
We've heard the president say multiple times that his administration is working to get more aid into Gaza, but we also know that he's calling on Congress to provide to Israel in support, whether it be military or otherwise. What do you make of the way the administration is responding in the wake of all of this?
I tell the president, I will say, Mr. President, you have been lying to the American people. I would like my country that represents me and the country that claims to be the leader in the world to put an end to this bloodshed.
I asked Nahad what he ultimately hopes for Palestinians and Israelis in the region. His answer? For Palestinians to have their own free state where everyone is treated equally, respectfully, and with dignity. Israelis seek peace as well, a world in which they're not constantly under attack, fighting for their homeland. The search for a peaceful, lasting resolution has not yielded results. But this war is putting the issue back in front of the international stage, making it a top priority once again. I'm Peter Zampa, listening to America.